Teardrop Campers, buy or build.
If you're watching this video, that means you've fallen in love with Teardrop Campers, just like I did. So how did we get here? We either saw one on the road and it caught our eye as we were traveling to our destinations. Maybe we were waiting at the doctor's or dentist's office and we saw a photo in a book or a magazine. Or maybe we were scrolling through Facebook or YouTube and we saw a photo or a video. So if you're a newbie like me, you got tons of questions. In this first video of my build series, I'll try to go over some general helpful topics such as what is a true teardrop versus a square drop versus what I call slap togethers. I'll also go over whether you should build or buy. If you buy, who should you buy from? If you build, whose plan should you follow? I'll show you tons of resources that were very helpful to me. I'll try to give some quick tips for newbies like myself, and then I'll also show you some videos that are coming up next. So let's get into it. All right, guys, first and foremost, before we get into anything else, if you're truly seriously thinking about building or buying a teardrop trailer, my first bit of advice is slow down, take your time, do your research. Don't make a rash decision that you're gonna regret later. I know a lot of times people see these cool videos on YouTube where somebody, found some materials and slapped together a teardrop trailer and went camping the next day. They did it for a couple of $100, maybe $1,000. But that's probably not the best decision to make for a good quality teardrop trailer. So slow down, take your time. All right, so first, let's talk about what is actually a true teardrop. In my opinion and from my research, a true teardrop follows the classic teardrop shape. That's why they call it a teardrop trailer. So if you can imagine a teardrop falling from your eye, turn that sideways, that's the teardrop trailer. Usually they're rounded at the front, kind of taper back into the pointy part of the teardrop in the back, and that's where you find your kitchen galley. They follow the style of the old classic teardrops that were started to come around in the early part of the 19th century and became really popular in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. So in my opinion, that's a true teardrop trailer. So what's a square drop? Well, just try to picture it in your mind, and that's exactly what it is. It does not follow the classic teardrop shape that tapers into the back where the kitchen galley is. It has a flat, straight back, and they're just more modern and more recent. I think because it's easier to build things that are square and flat than things that are round. So a square drop is technically not a teardrop. And what's a slap together? Well, slap together is just kind of a term I created from doing my research over 2 years. Slap togethers to me, people go out and find wood and materials and they just kind of slap it together, right? Again, they saw a cool video and they wanted to go out and do it, but they really didn't take their time in their research. And to me, slap togethers are fun if you're just gonna use them in your neighborhood or maybe you own some property yourself or something, but I wouldn't want to take a slap together out on the road and travel. So do we buy or do we build? Well, that's the big question. That's the big decision to make. And that's probably why I've taken 2 years of time to do the research. I wanted to make sure that I made the right decision for myself and for my budget and for my wants and needs, and I suggest you do the same thing. If you're gonna buy, you're probably looking at lowest base model without any bells and whistles, smallest size, about $7,000, $8,000, $9,000. If you're looking at a larger model, with a lot of extras and bells and whistles, they could run you up to $20,000, $30,000 maybe. To me, the really cool thing about building it yourself is all the customization that you can do. There's so many things that you can customize by the shape, the size, the exterior finish, how the kitchen galley looks. So if you have a place to work or you're able to outsource to places that have spaces to work, you can probably save money doing a build. Now, building's gonna take you more time, of course, but I think you can save money in the long run. That's what I've decided to do myself. I've decided to build. If you're thinking that buying is a better route for you over building, maybe you don't have a workshop or the tools that you need, maybe you feel like you don't have the skills that you need to do the work, maybe time is an issue for you, but money is not, and you wanna just go out there and buy, and get out there and start camping either right away or pretty soon, then check out these companies. Vestibule, Timberleaf, Cozy Cruiser, Arrow Teardrops, New Camp, camp in, little guy, and high camp. Now, all of those may not provide the true classic teardrop shape, but those seem to be the most popular companies out there, and I'll leave the links below in the description. If you think the best bet is to build, then unless you're a professional wood craftsman and you have your own shop and you have all the tools that you need, I suggest that you follow somebody else's build that has done this before. I'm gonna follow a gentleman named Tony Latham. I found his book on Amazon, and I see Mr. Latham in a lot of the forums online that I follow. It's a great book, very detailed. He goes over all the parts, all the tools. He goes through his whole build, and he's even got a YouTube channel with some helpful videos on there as well. It's a great book. You can find this book on Amazon. I believe it was about $18.95. I actually purchased 3 of them. I purchased one for myself. I purchased one for my CNC guy over in Orlando that's going to CNC out all the files for me. And then I also purchased one for my friend that's going to help me put this together. So let's look at some other resources that might be helpful to you as you plan your build or as you build along the way. I found these resources were very helpful to me in my 2-year search in this journey. Again, Mr. Tony Latham has a great book that you can find on Amazon. I'll put that link down in the description for you. Another name that I see pop up a lot online, a person that seems to be very knowledgeable, is Mr. Jay Poor. That's Jaypoore. I hope you don't mind me plugging your name, Mr. Poor, but I see your name out there a lot and you seem to be very knowledgeable. Guys, I suggest that if you are on Facebook, you join lots of groups. There's Teardrop Camper Buy and Sell. There's Teardrop Camper Do It Yourself. There's Teardrop Camper Parts. The people in the groups are very nice and helpful and knowledgeable, and you'll get to see lots of cool pictures of teardrops and builds, and you can ask questions and get lots of responses for your questions. So I suggest you follow some Facebook groups as well. The best forum series type website is tntt.com. That's tntt.com. All the pros and professionals are on there. Again, it's a forum style website where you can follow topics and threads. You can see a lot of custom home builds and a lot of cool things that people do on their teardrops. So make sure you check out the tntt.com website. Of course, YouTube is a good resource. That's how you came across my video here, is you were on YouTube and you searched teardrop camper trailers. Luckily for me, you came across my video, and hopefully you've watched this far. Guys, my one suggestion about YouTube is be careful about the quick, what I call the slap togethers, where people are kind of just marketing on Facebook and they make these quick little cool videos where it looks like you can slap something together. But usually those are kind of low quality. They're really not safe for traveling on the road or off-road. Again, if you are just camping in your backyard or your neighborhood or right down the street, maybe that's okay for you, or if you're on a small budget. But I suggest if you're going to do this, you put in quality to your build so you feel safe and secure on the road. All right, guys, now I want to give you my top 5 tips for if you plan to build yourself. Tip number 1, take your time, do your research, and plan it out. Follow the forums, buy some books, read up, right? Take your time, plan it out, do your research. You'll be glad you did in the long run. Tip number 2, think about the size of the teardrop trailer that you want to build. Most of the common sizes out there seem to be 4x8, meaning 4 feet wide by 8 feet long. There are 5x8s, there are 5x10s, which is what I'm gonna build. And again, of course, there's extreme sizes to anything that you do, but those seem to be the common sizes. So you need to think about the type of vehicle that you're gonna tow with. Again, a lot of videos say that you can tow them with cars. That's great, but most cars aren't meant to tow. So make sure you plan out the type of vehicle you're gonna tow with. The size of your trailer is gonna directly determine the weight of your trailer. So make sure that you think about that. Tip number 3, think about the type of axle and suspension system that you want underneath your trailer. Again, what I'm talking about is that thing underneath the trailer that connects the rims and the tires and the wheels together. So there seems to be 3 types of axle suspension systems. Of course, the traditional is your spring axle. The second is a torsion axle. Dexter is the best company for torsion axles. They have more of an independent suspension on each side as opposed to a spring axle. If you hit a speed bump, you know, both sides are going to do the same thing. And then now they're coming out with some new axle-less suspensions. Timbren is a company that makes some axle-less suspensions, meaning there is no rod or steel bar or anything that connects the two sets of wheels together. They're independent. You mount them on each side of your trailer. You can bolt them on or you can weld them on. I'm going with a Dexter number 9. So make sure you're thinking about your type of axle system. Tip number 4, create a price sheet and price it out before you even build. If you know the basics of Excel, maybe you have QuickBooks on your computer, even if you just do it with traditional pen and pencil on paper. It's a great way for you to do your research and determine what you want to put into your teardrop trailer, and that's going to help you determine what your overall budget is. Probably more important than that is you're going to want to get your teardrop trailer tagged and titled with your local Department of Transportation. Of course, that's going to be different for every state depending on where you live, so you'll need to do your research and check into your local DOT. But if you keep a detailed price sheet of who you purchased it from, the item you purchased, a description of it, how much you paid for the items, the taxes that you paid on your items, that's going to give you a leg up on getting your teardrop trailer tagged and titled with the DOT. I think really what they want to know is, did you pay your taxes? And more importantly, what are the items you did not pay your taxes on? And before they tag you, they're probably going to want you to pay those taxes. And tip number 5, keep a build journal, a build log, or a video series along the way. That's going to do a few things for you. Again, when you go to your local Department of Transportation to get your teardrop trailer tagged and titled, or maybe with your insurance company, again, that's going to be different for every state and every insurance company, so make sure you do your research. That could help you there as well. The next thing the build log and journal does is it helps newbies like us along the way. Again, guys, I followed forums and videos and books for a couple of years. Again, Mr. Latham and Mr. Poor and all the people on the forums and on YouTube and that write books have been very helpful and knowledgeable along the way. So again, I think creating a journal or a video series is a way of giving back the knowledge that you've learned along the way. Again, guys, I'm no expert by any means. I'm learning as I go along the way. But again, my best tip, my best advice is take your time, do your research. All right, if you've watched this far into the video, that means you're really serious about building or possibly buying a teardrop trailer. I really appreciate you watching this video. Again, I'm no expert. I just wanted to give back and try to help some newbies like myself to determine what they really want to do. If you want to subscribe to the channel, you can look for some videos to come. A few videos that I plan on doing here in the future are options. What are all the different options that you can put into your teardrop trailer? It's almost endless. Next, I want to shoot a video about ordering parts. Good companies that I found to order parts from, quality parts, and how to do that. Next, I'd like to show you a video on how to keep track of that build sheet, that price sheet. That's really important for your DOT and determining your total cost of your teardrop build. I'd like to go over whether you're going to do everything yourself, or in my case, I have a really good network of people where I'm going to outsource some of my work to. I have a buddy who's a welder. I have a friend in Orlando who's going to CNC the files out for me. And I have another good buddy who has a nice garage that we're going to build my cabin in. So we'll go over using contractors and outsourcing, or whether you're going to do things yourself. And then lastly, guys, this build series, again, is me following Mr. Tony Latham's book. I really suggest you check that book out. But this is the first video in the series of my build log along the way following Mr. Latham's book. So everybody, I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you learned something, and I wish you the best of luck along the way, and look for videos to come.
Teardrop Campers, buy or build.